everybody, this is Ged from Fabulous Flix. Welcome back. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Would love it if you hit subscribe, maybe ding the little bell for notifications. If you love what you see, obviously a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. If you don't, you can give me a thumbs down. I promise my feelings won't get hurt. So tonight's list is inspired by a friend of mine from university, a gentleman named Mike Nitzy, who still lives up in Thunder Bay, messaged me a few days ago asking if I'd be willing to do a top 5 surround sound movies. Now, asking a movie guy to do his top 5 surround sound movies is like asking a nerd what their favorite comic book is. I mean, these lists can be long and for so many reasons. So a couple caveats here. Number one, these movies and all movies, I always recommend that you're watching them on disc itself. Yes, I realize streaming is super popular and super easy. However, if you have favorite movies you love to watch in surround, invest the money in a Blu-ray or even a 4K disc. Remember, even if you don't have 4K, 99% of 4K disc movies come with the Blu-ray copy and come with the digital copy anyway, so it's well worth your investment. I am going to give a couple honorable mentions for reasons I'll describe when I get there, and going to try and not ramble too much after each selection. So here we go. In no particular order, except for maybe my last mention, because it is my favorite. Number one is Thor Ragnarok. Now, Marvel has done an amazing job with their surround sound stuff. All of their movies are very big picture, very big audio. Thor Ragnarok was awesome because it really incorporated a lot of that 80s, early 90s synth feel. If you have Atmos at home, it was an Atmos track as well, and they did a brilliant job with it. Again, those pitchy synth musical scenes really do a great job in surround, and there's some great action, especially that battle scene between Hulk and Thor when they're in the big Coliseum. If you're on the Marvel train, also look at movies like Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Infinity War, Endgame. I mean, the list literally goes on and on. If you want a good action Marvel one, Civil War is incredible, but it's more of like a stand-up fight surround sound, not really that synthy, crazy surround. Next, you can see why I'm struggling with this. Next is Gladiator. Again, Gladiator, very different than something like a Marvel because it has nothing to do with superheroes. Movie about history, a lot of good stand-up action. When they're in the Colosseum in Rome, that sound as the level increases as they go in is something that I will never forget hearing on my first surround sound, which I won't even tell you what it is because it will date me. The other cool scene is the soldier's death in this, where he goes to be executed and gets out of it. Unbelievable, unbelievable moment. If my friend Dustin is watching, you and I know we played that scene maybe 300 times for people when they were looking at speakers back in the day. If you're interested in stuff like Gladiator, also look at things like Braveheart. Braveheart had an incredible soundtrack in general. Mel Gibson obviously was phenomenal. I mean, this list could go on and on and on. Next up, Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies. Now, in this case, if you do have a 4K player or a PS5 or an Xbox One X, I do recommend you pick up the physical media. Even if you do not have an Atmos system in your house and you have a normal surround, with what Peter Jackson did by going back and going through these movies frame by frame, the audio stuff that was picked up in them is second to none. And I say the Battle of the Five Armies because it was the culmination of the five armies outside of Erebor. However, you can literally watch any of these 3 movies, and I'm going to assume any of the Lord of the Rings ones that have been redone, and you're going to have an amazing time. Second last, yeah, and sorry, I guess on the Hobbit thing, if you're into that Hobbit stuff, Lord of the Rings, no doubt. Second last is the newer Star Trek movies. This one, Into the Darkness, which is where you see Khan show up, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, however it is you say it properly. And this is one of those, it could be Into the Darkness, it could also be Beyond. Those last 2 movies, the surround effects in them are absolutely brilliant. They did an incredible job. J.J. Abrams absolutely nailed it with this. I fully recommend them. And my last pick, which I did save for last on purpose, is Ready Player One. If you grew up in the 80s or are a fan of 80s lore at all, this is 2 hours of the greatest time you can spend in front of the television. Again, get it in 4K because even though it's very computer generated, it's a very complicated audio movie. So because they're taking a lot of new age animation, but they're trying to recreate stuff that was from the 80s, whether it was from The Shining, the scene from that, or the race to get the first key. I mean, this will test every single speaker you have. Again, please pick up this physical media. It is absolutely worth it. Couple of honorable mentions. Number one, The Secret Life of Pets. I don't watch a lot of cartoon movies, I must admit. So for the parents out there wondering why I haven't picked Frozen or Frozen 2 or Frozen 13 or whatever it is they're on now, I just haven't seen them. But The Secret Life of Pets, I remember I actually purchased, and it literally blew me away. It was the first time I had seen an animated movie in uncompressed Dolby Atmos. It was absolutely brilliant. And my last honorable mention, and the reason why I gave this an honorable mention is because from what I understand, it's not really available in physical media. Ryan Reynolds did a movie strictly for Netflix called Six Underground. It was directed by Michael Bay, who did all of the Transformer movies. And Ryan Reynolds was quoted in an interview saying, "It is the Michael Bayest movie of all time. It is very large cinema, insanely large audio." Like, they kind of took this thing to the extreme. But again, it's something that you do have to watch on Netflix. So that's kind of why I left it in a category of its own. There's also Extraction, which has come out recently. But on the topic, back to Six Underground, you really open up that door to things like the Transformer movies. If it's been some time since you've watched them, I recommend you do. They are terrible movies, but they are so much fun to watch. It's literally like Michael Bay just flexes his muscles for about 4 or 5 movies. It's a brilliant waste of time. So I hope you like this list. You can imagine the last 2-3 days I've literally been scratching my head on even where to start with a list like this. Mr. Nitz, I hope this is what you were looking for. If you have any other suggestions or top 3s or 5s you'd like to see me do, please comment in the comment section on YouTube or on the Fabulous Flix page in Facebook, as this is where this came from, and I very much appreciate it. So until next time, enjoy some incredible film watching. Take care.